And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from JG101. And, that was it. I was actually surprised. Yeah, it actually surprised me. Not only, I think, one person gave me the suggestion. I was actually pretty surprised by that. But who would win in the fight? JG01 or 101. At least you asked. The Creeper, or from Jeepers Creepers, versus the Predator. Now, when talking about the Predator, you have to ask the question, which Predator are we using? Are we using like the first movie Predator, the second movie Predator, the Alien versus Predators, the comics, the Predator? Because the thing is, all of them are different Predators carrying different equipment. We're not using like the super Predators or the hybrid Predator. We're not using that. What I would say we will use in this case, we'll basically make a composite Predator in this case, because more or less physically they're all going to be, roughly speaking, the same. But generally speaking, with the exception of the Predators from Super Predators from Predators, which I really like that movie, by the way. That I think is an underrated Predator movie. So we'll basically be kind of using the overall equipment that you see with Alien, AVP, Requiem, and the original and second one. So with that being said, let's actually go over the Creeper first, because he's the one I'll be able to go over quicker. So the Creeper is a being of unknown origin and undetermined species, if we'll be honest. It is believed. Now, he has a demonic appearance. He's got bat-like wings, a reptilian kind of face to some degree. He eats people. It's implied that he is a demon of sorts. But hasn't been anything that flat out says what he is. That being said, he is at least demonic in appearance and, desire and all that. He wants to consume human flesh. And he does that to replace, body parts, all that. But yeah, what he actually is still not known. There's been 3 movies, and we still don't know actually what he is. I think the end of the 3rd movie, a woman had one of his original hands, or his prior hand, stabbed with a knife, embedded with a note saying, "I know what you are." So that implies, he might be a demonic entity. That actually implies to me, though, that he might not be a demonic entity. He's something else, whatever he is. But saying "I know what you are" to a demon really wouldn't mean anything. Especially since he hibernates for 23 years at a time, is only awake to eat and feed for 23 days. So that doesn't sound like the actions of a demon, per se. Or at least not any demon in lore that I know. I'm sure there are possibly in folklore demons that do that kind of thing, but that doesn't really sound like the actions. It sounds like he is something else, maybe some sort of mythological being. And maybe if they ever make a 4th one, yeah, right. Anything's possible. They may address that in its entirety. But point being, though, whatever he is extremely powerful. At minimum, he's at least twice as strong as, say, your regular person. Because he can carry someone he has talons for feet. He can carry someone with those talons, fly carrying a person. He can easily, manhandle normal physical people physically manhandle average adult males with no problem whatsoever. He's also insanely durable. Now, the thing about the Creeper is that between the movie 1, 2, and 3, there's some inconsistencies. Because he gets hit by a car, run over multiple times, is able to get up, and is limping before he gets to the police station and, consumes people. He gets his head cut off and recovers from that. But throughout the first, I think the second movie, this all implied to be painful to him. But in the 3rd movie, he basically gets riddled by a Gatling gun, and he just keeps coming like he's not feeling it. Like he's not even he's not even doing that. So it's a little inconsistent, his pain tolerance. I would have to assume, though, even if he's feeling pain, it's an extremely high pain tolerance. So there's that. Obviously, he's got he's capable of flight, an enhanced regeneration factor, mostly coming from the fact that he can just replace body parts. he can pretty much replace anything he really wants to replace, including his head. His head gets cut off in the second one. However, that you see, there's a frill on his back of his neck. Apparently, as long as that's intact, he can just take another head off, put it on, and it just becomes the creeper's head. Which implies that the actual creeper itself is some sort of parasitic life form frill. Maybe he's an alien. Who fucking knows? I don't believe you. Oh god, if they went that route, I would actually be pissed. Like, really? That's your answer? You couldn't do something more unique, something like a mythological creature of some kind? No, he's an alien? That would be terrible. Very disappointing, to say the least. But still, even without that, he would probably recover eventually. He just would prefer to recover quicker so he can continue eating. He's a glutton. Now, that said, also, he's got a truck that is a death trap, booby-trapped beyond compare. Also extremely durable, able to take gunshots and all that without any problems whatsoever. He's also seems to have some level of mysticism to him, as he's made weapons out of bone that seem to be able to lock on target. One of the things he has is a throwing shuriken, a throwing star made of bone with etchings on there, and it seems to kind of target lock to some degree. He also has an axe on him, and I believe he has a knife on him that also has those markers as well. So it's clear he knows how to fight brutally, and he knows how to fight deadly. The Predator, seeing as we are kind of compositing 4 movies into one. 4? Yeah, 4 movies into one. The Predator, or Yautja, as the species is known, is a hunter race, a hunter-warrior race. They live by the code of a hunter, by a warrior. It is part of their culture, so they are trained to be hunters, to be warriors, to be fighters. And they are, first off, on average, your average predator is anywhere between high 6 foot to low 8 foot range. Now, like the super predators are even larger than the regular predators. But your average predators usually somewhere between like the mid to high 6 foot to average 7 foot range. Like, I believe the females are actually larger than the males, and they will range up to, I think, like 8 to 9. But yeah, your average predator, which is usually the males we see. We haven't seen a female predator in film yet, as far as we know. I'm pretty certain we haven't. Is around that tall, which means he's already taller than the creeper. They're also physically much more powerful than a normal human, able to one-arm a person with just one hand. Let me rephrase that. Able to one-arm Arnold Schwarzenegger with one hand. And Arnold when he in the original Predator for the 80s and even the 90s was a built dude. Like, that was him just not shortly, because that was like 87, but that was him not too far after his Mr. Universe days, and Arnold knew who he was as a person, so he knew he had to keep in shape. So, and muscle is heavier than fat, so Arnold easily weighed in the 200 some odd range at that point. So for the Predator to be able to manhandle someone like that, which means, and he did it easily. He manhandled Arnold easily and lifted him with one hand. So he can easily lift 250 pounds, 300 pounds with one arm, no problem, which means just striking and lifting strength. Striking is different than lifting. But lifting strength, he could probably lift at least half a ton, or maybe not half a ton, sorry, a quarter of a ton without any real difficulty, I'd imagine. But take that, they're also deceptively fast. Like, the Predators are big lumbering creatures, but when they want to move, they can move and they can be stealthy. That's without their tech. They're also, like I said, trained warriors, so they know how to fight. They are combat specialists and hunters and trappers. When you get into their tech, holy crap, their tech. Okay. So, obviously, standard issue for any Predator is their wrist blades, which vary between your iterations. Like, Predator versus Aliens, one of the Predators had much longer, frankly, Shredder-esque looking blades, and he's the first one to die, which sucked. Because I'm like, that one was the cool one, in my opinion. But Scars turns out to be like the badass of the group. So the metal that those are made of is unknown, because we know it's unknown from Predator 2. But it's extremely tough. Like, it's tougher than steel. And while not acid proof, it is at least semi-acid resistant. So, because the blood of an alien is highly corrosive acid. It's like a molecular acid. It's that strong. And, Predator's weapons, while not immune, even their armor is not immune. It is at least resistant enough that they can, like, take it off if they need to. So they have that, obviously. Their helmets, standard issue, you can see in multitude of spectrums, ultraviolet, ultraviolet, infrared. Here's the thing: we like in the second Predator movie, we see second and Requiem as well, and in actually in a lot of them. Say it out loud. We only see infrared in the first one. In the second one, we actually see a lot of different spectrums. I mean, infrared, ultraviolet, those are obvious ones. But we see a couple different spectrums. Like, okay, what are these spectrums that he's viewing in? I'm actually not sure what those are. But anyway, he can see in multitude of spectrums. It gives him, obviously, it gives him some atmospheric light support. But the Predators can't survive in our own world, mostly, without a helmet. But whenever they unseal it, there's like steam coming out, which implies that is portions of their own atmosphere to some degree. So their own atmosphere must have oxygen in it, so they can breathe in our own atmosphere, but still not quite the same as ours. Obviously, they also are famous for their camouflage. They bend light. Now, that doesn't mean they're invisible 100%. If they move, you can see them. You can at least see their outline of their image, but they are still extremely difficult to see. If they're not moving, you would miss them if you're not looking for them. Should also note, the Creeper has an enhanced sense of smell, which might identify the Predator. But moving on to a couple of the other ones, there is that freaking disc, that homing disc that one of the Predator uses in the second one. There's also that freaking spear, which a lot of the Predators tend to use. It expands, it can just boom, kill someone. There is I'm trying to remember what else he used. There's the net. Oh, the net. I forgot the net. The net, which freaking whatever it's made of, it was able to cut through a gun. And like when they tried to grab it, it was just like ripped right through the gloves. It tightens. It literally just rips into you. It just tears you apart. Now, if you're strong enough to get out of it, that's one thing. But if you're not, then you're screwed. Then there was the Shuriken. I love the Shuriken from AVP. Yeah, the Shuriken were awesome. Then there was that badass freaking whip. Now, I can't necessarily give the Predator every single one of these weapons, even though I'm using composite. But and obviously, there's the plasma caster. There's the plasma cannon he has on his shoulder, which is basically shoots you and kills you, blows up, shoots you, and then there's no more of you. So, geez, there's a lot to go over with the Predator. Now, obviously, I can't overcrowd him because as a hunter, he would not. And when you're talking about the fledgling Predators, the ones going through their rite of passage, they have a ceremonial dagger on them too. Probably wouldn't do that for this guy though. When you're talking about like a seasoned hunter, he wouldn't have everything on it. He might want to travel light, but at the same time, he might not want to travel light. He might want to at least be able to compensate for certain things. So what I would give this particular Predator, he would have the shurikens because they're compact and easy to hold. The net can be stored in a gauntlet, so it'd also do the net. He obviously has the wrist blades. I would keep the whip because the whip can be wrapped around him or on the side. And I would also keep a spear on his back. But actually, did I just? Oh no, he doesn't carry the disc because frankly that might be a little just too much. Actually, yeah, I pretty much gave him everything I could. So ultimately, who wins in a fight? Well, this is a very odd scenario because as far as we understand the Creeper, he hangs out in that same area all the time. It's like Pennywise. He hangs out in that same area for all of his lifespan, unless he's moved there and just happy killing there. So, do we bring the Predator there? And then why would we bring the Predator there is the next question. The reason for asking that question is the Predators usually kind of hunt in a more hot environment, jungle-esque environment, because it's kind of what they're used to. Not to say they couldn't hunt in the cold. We saw that in AVP, but that was for a ritual. It wasn't just natural hunting. Because in the first one, they're in the jungle, and the second one, they're in, I believe it's L.A., is where the second one takes place. Nose getting a little stuffed up. Yeah. LA, and it was like in the middle of summer, and it was a heat wave in LA. And Requiem, he was doing a job, so that wasn't hunting. But on in Predators, it's a hot planet. We know that it's a tropical planet. So I guess you could make the argument that Predator somehow winds up here because he's maybe got intel there might be a good prize, and it could just be a really hot summer. So there you go. But these two would probably come at odds when Predator's maybe hunting it's like one of the humans in sight sees that they're maybe at least somewhat good game, and then they get killed. He sees the creeper, and he's he's sizing up the creeper. Now the creeper, as he's maybe killing this dude, suddenly stops and. Now, the creeper's nose, as far as we can tell, has a third nostril. It actually hones in on fear. The predator probably wouldn't be afraid of the creeper, but he would be intrigued. This thing with wings and weaponry what is this? But at the same time, creeper's sense of smell, he could probably smell sense, not just fear. And an alien scent, I don't mean just alien like unfamiliar, I mean alien scent, would definitely catch the creeper's interest. And I don't know if he could lock down where the predator is, but he would definitely be able to probably pinpoint like the overall direction. So at that point, he throws a shuriken. And because of the homing nature of it, it does hit the predator. Unfortunately, a predator is much more durable. A predator can take gunfire, can take shotgun fire, for God's sake, and keep going. That shuriken might annoy it, but it hurts him a little bit, but it's not going to kill him or anything. And it hits it, and it disrupts his camouflage a little bit, and the creeper just suddenly just... Now, the predator would be something that I assume the creeper's never seen before. Assuming the creeper's not an alien. Please, God, don't let it be an alien. Again, I'm going with the idea that it is either a demon or some sort of demonic-esque mythological creature of some kind. Anyway, so the predator pulls out the shuriken, throws it back, and the creeper does grab it, but he's actually impressed that the predator could throw that. All of a sudden, the predator does plasma caster and just starts shooting energy blasts at it, and the creeper flies the hell out of there. Now him and the creeper are kind of like at odds. He's trying to get the creeper down. That's not working. The creeper is very annoyed, so he pulls out the axe. He pulls a couple. He probably has more than one shuriken out than one. So he throws a couple more out there. But the predator, being the predator, actually counteracts this by just shooting a few of them out. But he still gets a couple in him. Now he's just getting really annoyed. Creeper comes down, brings down the hammer, but basically as he's coming down, predator fires the net. Now the creeper's basically getting torn up by the net, and the predator just brings out the spear, just boom, smacks the spear right into him. He assumes he killed it, and because of that, the net stops as it was cutting into him. The creeper is playing dead. Basically, he pulls off the net, and then the creeper comes in, opens eyes, just comes in and just slices the axe up, cutting the predator deep. Predator just roars. And now him and the creeper are basically going mano a mano. And now the creeper comes in with the axe, but wrist blade, so they're going toe to toe. Now this is where the creeper is actually going to be at a pretty bad disadvantage, because while we can tell he's much stronger than a normal person, we haven't seen similar strength feats to the predator. A predator was able to pull. Yes, he got help from a human, but was able to yank on chain on a queen alien and keep it at bay. For a little bit. It took a lot, but he was able to do that. Seasoned Predator is much more physically powerful than the Creeper, and is an actual is a legitimate warrior. Whereas we can tell that the Creeper can fight to some degree. But the problem is that you have a guy who hunts for a living and a guy who maybe does know how to fight and hunts, but only once every 23 days. Once every 23 years for 23 days, whereas the Predator's doing this all the time. So when the blade comes down, the Predator is able to block it. Creeper tries to fly up again, but the Predator pulls out the whip and actually grabs the wing and slices the wing. Because that whip, the way it works is he pulls it and cuts the thing in half, so he cuts off the wing. The Creeper is now pissed. He grabs the axe again, tries to throw it, but the Predator throws out his own shurikens, and one takes off the freaking Creeper's hand, and the other one just bends itself right in. Creeper, using his good hand, pulls it out. Unfortunately, the Predator is able to get his plasma rifle. Plasma rifle activated again, and at that point, he just blasts and just blows the Creeper apart. However, the Creeper can actually reassemble itself. That's the real effed up part here. The Creeper can reassemble, and the Predator sees this. Now, granted, he was blown apart, but he still had a physical body he could get back to. His body was just blown apart. He wasn't truly incinerated. Predator has pretty much incinerated his entire torso, but the body is still trying to move. Predator's now trying to figure out. So he basically is, gets his mask, because at this point he probably would have ditched the mask. They probably would have gone mono, all that. Just trying to basically get an idea of what the hell this thing is. And here's the thing. I think if you kill the fin, whatever that is on the back, you will actually kill the creeper. I think that's kind of implied. There's no proof, but it's implied. So, as he's seeing all these things trying to come back together, he gets the scan on his helmet going, and he notices there's something off about this. Like, this might actually be... And it reminds him of a facehugger, honestly. And when he actually grabs it, pulls off, the thing actually squeals. And, he's trying to get it. And the Predator finally just stabs it. And ultimately just and for a good measure blows it up. And then all the body parts start moving. And basically the creeper's head's going to go onto his trophy. Why do I think the Predator wins? A, he just comes out, he's coming to the fight with far more firepower. Like, literally and literally, and, arsenal-wise. He's physically, I think, tougher than the Creeper. Now, in terms of regeneration and how much damage they can each take, the Creeper is tougher. But in terms of being able to take a hit and keep going and like physical durability to a certain degree, the Predator, I think, is more durable in terms of what types of hits he can take. But obviously, the regeneration factor of the Creeper is the higher regeneration. But in terms of, so if they both punched each other and broke it, the Predator would most likely have a higher chance of, say, breaking the Creeper's jaw than the Creeper would the Predator's jaw. That's what I mean by durability. Strength-wise, like I said, the Predators, I think, outclass them in strength. Skill and technique is the other big thing. The Predator is a trained and natural hunter. The Creeper is a hunter, but he's not necessarily a fighter. So with that said, I would go with the Predator in this fight. Now, this is also coming with a lot of speculation on my part what the Creeper actually is. But ultimately, that is my thoughts on that. But let me know what you think. Put in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for win, Star Wars, Superior Magic, what if, anything you can do in the channel. Put that in the comments below. Let me know. I'll get to that at some point. Put that bell if you want notifications. This is actually going up on Thursday. This is Thursday, so it win. But I am actually recording one other video in a little bit that will be up yesterday, I guess, technically. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.